How's it going, everyone? It's Spencer here with Spencer Stuff. Welcome to the community. I appreciate you being here. Today we're going to be talking about the Air5 Pros from Soundpeats. And first off, before I do anything, I want to say thank you to Soundpeats for being so patient with this review. It has been a long time coming. They sent this product a very long time ago, but I've had so much going on in my life, so greatly appreciate the patience. If you're watching this review and decide you want to buy a pair before or after this review, there's a discount code right here that gives you 10% off of your order, and it can be used with other discount codes from Soundpeats, so feel free to jump to their website and buy a pair if you're interested. Now that that's all out of the way, I hope you all enjoy this review. Thank you all so much for watching. So getting started, we're going to talk about the comfort first. I know sound quality is considered the most important by my standards, but comfort is a close number too, because if they're uncomfortable, you're not going to wear the earbuds anyway, so you're not going to be able to enjoy the sound quality from the product to begin with. Comfort on these. Needless to say, for me, it's all subjective, but this is the most comfortable pair of earbuds I currently own. I love them. They are so comfortable to wear. They have a perfect curve for my ear. They fit so snugly in my ear. I get a great seal out of them. And I never feel like I don't feel like I'm fighting them. They just fit in my ear great. But just because they fit in my ear great doesn't mean that they're gonna fit in yours great. The problem you're gonna run into with these is if you have smaller ears, you might not be able to fit these into your ears properly. They do not come with multiple silicone tips for the tips of the ears. So take that as you will. If you go to buy these, they're a little bit cheaper, so maybe you can find some aftermarket earpieces that you can throw onto these. But for the most part, for me, they fit great. They might be different for you. I like the plastic. It's a glossy plastic, and even though it is a fingerprint magnet, I do like that it sits on the ear a little bit nicer. It doesn't feel as distracting. It almost provides a little bit of extra grip because it is glossy as opposed to the matte finish that I've had on other earbuds. I would rather see fingerprints on these as opposed to having some other issues where, you know, they fall out of your ears. So on the whole, I would say the comfort is great. For exercising, I have no issues swinging my head around. I can go for walks in them, and they offer a great seal for me as well when it comes to audio quality, which I'll talk about later. So if you're looking for a very comfortable pair of earbuds, these are definitely it for you. Now, when it comes to the fit and finish of a product, I don't necessarily find this to be the most important thing, but it is important for some people, and I have to talk about it. I like this case a lot. It's a matte finish on it. It's very simple. It's a circle or an oval, and it's got a USB-C charging thing on the bottom, and that's it. It's very simple. You flip it up. There are the earbuds, and they automatically connect to your phone, which is a fantastic feature. I love the little details like this that says hear the difference on it. You do hear the difference on these earbuds, especially for the price. You're gonna be hearing your money wallet going ka-ching, because you're saving a lot of money by looking at these as opposed to maybe one of the larger name products. I like the overall feeling of this case. It's durable, and even though there is a little bit of a twinge to it, a little bit of a plastic sound to it, it doesn't feel like I'm gonna break these. I can put them in my pocket. I'm not worried about throwing them in a bag. And if they get a little scratched up, they get a little scratched up. Welcome to life, right? So I would say Soundpeats did a great job designing this. I really like it. I like the feeling of it. I never feel like I'm going to drop this, or if I pull out of my pocket, they're gonna just fly out. And that's a great thing. You want the case to feel perfect, and you want it to feel like it's more than durable enough to handle your everyday life. So shout out to Soundpeats for a great start on this product. So one of the most important aspects to any audio product, obviously, is the sound quality. And for this product and the price that you're paying, it's great for out of the box. It's got a nice V shape to it. If you're someone who likes a lot of bass and some decent treble detail, you're gonna like these earbuds. Now, if you're someone like me, I'm not necessarily the biggest fan of a major V-shaped curve, and I found the bass to be quite a bit bloated on this, which took away from the mid-range for my ear. So what I ended up doing is I took this product and I went through and decreased the bass quite a bit, almost 6 dB on each end, and then raised the treble up and the mid-range a smidge. Mainly the mid-range came up out of the EQ that I did. And the main reason for this is I found that the airiness and the feeling of soundstage increased massively when I EQ'd these back a little bit. That V-shaped curve kind of ruins things a little bit in the sense that you muddy the mid-range a lot by having a bloated bass. So I wanted something that was a little bit more even. Now that being said, the fact that these have LDAC and aptX HD is a perfect thing. This is something that I always tout on any product that supports these codecs, because it means that the provider or the person or the company that's making this product cares about audio quality first and foremost, because you're not getting a compressed, horrible sounding product to begin with from using SBC or AAC. So shout out to Soundpeats for including that in this. I'm running the OnePlus 13 and I never really felt like I was losing audio quality versus, a headphone. So for me, having LDAC was an amazing thing. And I will say one other thing I love about these products is the sound just scales so nicely. I never felt like when I was turning up and up and up, I was losing quality in the audio or getting distortion or anything along those lines. It just became more impactful, and a sign of a great earbud is the ability to scale sound up, as opposed to it distorting and causing other issues. So Soundpeats, you did a great job with this product and being able to scale your audio. Now with that, I will say the dynamics are not necessarily as good. It sounds a little bit more compressed in the way that the soundstage is. You're not getting massive hits and then it's really subtle and silent. It's kind of in a blocky range, I guess, or it's ranged off. But for an earbud like this and for the price of it, I think that it benefits the sound of the earbud on the whole. So Soundpeats, I think you did a great job with this. The sound quality is great for the price that you're paying. Is it the most nuanced you're going to be finding out of all these earbuds out there? Absolutely not. But there's nothing wrong with that, because you're still getting a great audio experience nonetheless, and you can EQ these exactly to the way that your ear likes it. So one of the most important aspects of a current earbud, no matter what it is the app. I will say this is one of those apps that I really enjoy using. Soundpeats did a good job on it. So we're going to look at this app in particular in detail. I'm going to give you my breakdown as to what I think about it. So looking at the main screen here, you have my devices. So if you're someone with multiple devices or have multiple Soundpeats options, like I do, they're going to show up on the screen. You tap on the one you have. And from here, you have all the details you need of your device. You have the left, the right earbuds, as well as the case battery amount. And I like that. It's clean and simple, and it gives you all the details you need immediately on the screen. Now in the next section here, you have your noise canceling. So you have your noise canceling on, you have normal mode or transparent mode. The transparency mode works okay. I wouldn't say it's obviously best in class or anything, but it works fine. The normal mode basically treats these like a normal set of earbuds, and there's nothing wrong with that. If you're someone who wants to just listen to your earbuds at a normal level, you can do that. Although I will say, I think that the sound quality actually drops off using the normal mode versus using the noise canceling mode. So maybe you want to leave that noise canceling on. Just a tip. So for noise canceling, you have adaptive noise cancellation, indoor noise cancellation, outdoor, and traffic mode. I personally like the adaptive mode the best. I find it to work the best for me. You can play around with it. If you like something else, that's up to you. Now scrolling down, you have your double device connection option here. This will disable LDAC, so make sure if you want the best audio quality possible, you don't turn this on. But if you're someone who wants to be able to connect multiple devices to these earbuds, you need to turn that on. There's a disable touch option because these earbuds have the ability to tap to go to different things. So for me, I've got it set up so that if I double tap it, it'll go forward, or if I triple tap it, it'll turn up. You can set your settings however you want with these earbuds so that the volume can change or can go forward, back, pause, play, so on, so forth. There's a game mode, which decreases the audio quality a little bit to improve latency. Personally, I haven't really used this mode because I don't play games much on my phone, so I can't really attest if it's really that much better. I will say the sound quality is not quite as good, but that is what it is. And then if you're someone who wants the best quality audio possible, you have to have the app on these so that you can turn on LDAC. This is where you go. It's right on the home page if you want the best quality sound out of these earbuds. LDAC being turned on is right here. Scrolling back up to the top right corner, you have the 3-piece icon right here. And you can get all of your information, your device information. If you have a firmware update, you can check for that here, as well as reset the devices. There's LE audio on these, which is another cool thing, so that if you want to turn that on, you can. And they also have a fit test option, which I really do like, so that it'll play a test tone in your ear and let you know if you have a good seal or not. There's a find your earbuds option, and then a prompt tone adjustment, as well as a language adjustment. So lots of features there. Going into this middle section, you can set your equalizer in here. So there's an adaptive EQ, which I think is really cool. Basically what Soundpeats does is when you go in, it will play a test tone. And as you go through the different test tones, basically it's right when you hear the sound, you tap a button and then you keep going through the audio range until you hear those options. So, you know, at your bass region, your 125 hertz, it'll play a test tone and it'll get louder and louder until you hear it, all the way up to 6, and it keeps going. So it can set its own frequency or adapted EQ based off of what you hear, and I find it to be actually pretty good. I liked it, although I chose to do my own thing. There's also presets that you can choose from in this app. So you have your different classic mode, your bass boost, bass reduce, you know, your typical earbud stuff here. And then you can make your own EQ, and that was something that I really did like to have on any earbud. You have a 10-band EQ right here from 20 hertz all the way up to 16 kilohertz. And you can see I made quite a few adjustments. And I also, now that I'm going through this section because it wasn't pre-recorded, I lied, I guess. I didn't bring this down 6 dB like I had said before. It looks like I brought it down about 3, so you know, a little over exaggeration here, but I have made a lot of tweaks to this EQ to make it sound the way that I like it. So if you're someone who wants to give this EQ a try, feel free. And on the whole, I would say that this app is really awesome to use. It's intuitive, it's simple, and I like the way it looks. So Soundpeats, shout out to you for making a nice looking app. Now we're going to be testing out the earbud microphones on this to see if the call quality is worthwhile for these earbuds. I'm going to be doing something in a quiet room, just sitting here, testing the microphones that way. As well as this, I'm going to pump in some cafe noise at one point, and then doing a street setting, so with cars going by and other things. And then last, I'm going to be pumping some air into these while playing some other background sounds, so you can get an idea of a true torture test for these earbuds and if they hold up. So starting off, I'm going to be in a quiet room, and we're going to switch these mics in 3, 2, 1. We have officially switched to Soundpeats Air5 Pros. This is the sound quality test in a quiet room. This is what it would sound like for a person on another end listening to a phone call or something along those lines. And hopefully this provides a good enough test for you so that you know what the Air5 Pros sounds like in a quiet room. So now I'm going to test this in a cafe environment. So if you're someone who's sitting in a cafeteria or at a Starbucks or something along those lines, I want to torture test to see if these earbuds can hold up. So I'm going to be starting the audio in 3, 2, 1. We are now listening to the Air5 Pros with a cafe environment. This is what the person on the other end of the line will hear when you're listening to these earbuds. With other people's voices and background noises, is this holding up? I really don't know. I haven't edited the video, but this is what the Air5 Pro sounds like in a noisier environment. So now we're going to be testing out the Soundpeats Air5 Pros in a noisy environment like New York City specifically. I'm pulling up a video right now that will be basically playing the city ambience and see how well that these are able to handle it at loud volumes. So I'm going to be starting the Soundpeats in 3, 2, 1. So if I'm walking around the streets of New York City and talking about my day-to-day life, this is kind of what you're going to essentially hear on these Soundpeats. You're going to be hopefully getting a decent amount of background noise isolation so that you can hear loud and clear on the other end. And you're going to be the ultimate judge as to if these mics do a good job or not. Now we're going to be testing out some wind noise with the Air5 Pros. I want to see what it sounds like when there's air being pumped into the ears to see if the microphones can hold up when talking over them. So I brought a nice fan into the room, and I'm going to be starting that in 3, 2, 1. This is what the Soundpeats Air5 Pro sounds like on a windy day. To really get an idea if the wind is going to be breaking things up. I'm adjusting the intensity of the wind so that it kind of simulates if you come into a really heavy breeze. And overall, this is the sound quality of the Air5 Pros with wind blowing in the ears. So the final mic torture test I'm going to be doing here is playing the New York City audio with the fan on to see how broken I can break these in. So we're going to start that here in 3, 2, 1. So this is the Soundpeats Air5 Pros
down in New York City on a windy day. I don't know how much breakup there might actually be in these earbuds, but I imagine that it's probably pretty noisy on the other end. So the big question is always going to be, are these usable or are they not when it comes to a windy day in New York City? I guess we'll just have to see if the Air5 Pros can hold up.
So after listening over the mic test, I really have to say these held up well, and this is going to be different for everybody, and I have to explain this. So I have a pretty powerful voice, so I'm sure that these microphones are going to be able to pick things up a little bit easier, but I imagine if you're someone who is a little bit more light voiced, or someone with a higher voice maybe, your tone might not push through some of this ambience quite as well as mine did. I will say though, these held up really well. It was loud in here when I was playing this audio, and I had this fan up all the way. It's not a small fan by any stretch. This thing pushes air, and I think that these held up amazingly well for the type of microphones that these have, for the price that they're in. So I think if you're someone who is maybe more louder voice or has more presence in their voice, these earbuds are going to do great for you on the mic quality end. And maybe if you're someone who's a little bit drawn back, you're gonna have to kind of work with these a little bit, and you might have to speak a little bit louder, but clearly these are able to cut through quite a bit of background noise to have a good quality microphone. So I'm very impressed with what these Soundpeats are able to do. So I think the ultimate question you have to ask, or I have to answer for you, I guess, is are these Air5 Pros worth it for the price? And honestly, I can't find a fault in these for the price that you're paying. First off, the sound quality is fantastic for the price. I love that they have LDAC. I love the aptX HD support. I love the fact that you have different LE audio options. You have multi-point pairing. You have so many features with these earbuds that even pricing up the bracket, a lot of these companies don't necessarily do well, or they have these features, but for the price that you're paying, once again, these have those features. So check that off for Soundpeats. Sound quality wise, these sound great and they scale up beautifully. The louder you play them, they don't distort from what I can tell. They can play loud, although they do take quite a bit of EQing if you want to EQ them. For me personally, that's what I had to do to get the sound quality that I wanted. But the fact of the matter is they took EQ, and there's a lot of earbuds and other things that cannot take EQ quite as well as what these did. And I never felt like I was listening to anything artificial or gross sounding out of these earbuds whenever I turned them up or EQ'd them. They did everything perfectly to the extent that I wanted them. Now, they don't necessarily have the biggest soundstage, and they don't necessarily have that much in the way of dynamics versus some of the competitions like your Sonys or your Sennheisers up in the upper range. But the fact is you can understand what music's playing. You can understand all the aspects of that music without issue. Anything along the lines from orchestral, rock, jazz, vocal, anything along those lines, you won't have an issue using these earbuds with. I was very happy with the sound quality. The app is great, no problems there. It's very intuitive, it's fun to use. I love how simplistic it is, but you can really make these earbuds your own, which is another great thing. And last but not least, the sound quality from the microphones was fantastic for the price. I had no issues with my voice coming through, but once again, this is one of those things where you have to put an asterisk because I do have a more powerful voice. So results may vary for different people if they have a higher, lower, or less powerful voice versus mine. So on the whole, I would say that these can be recommended. I do love these earbuds. I use them every day. They're very comfortable, and I think you'd be hard pressed to find anything that's really that much better in this kind of price range. Once again, as I brought up earlier, if you want to buy these earbuds, I have a 10% discount code right here for Soundpeats. No, I'm not getting commission on these. This was a review, but they wanted to give me a coupon so that if you wanted to buy these and try them out, you can. So once again, here is the code. I appreciate you all watching this video. I hope it was helpful for you all, and I hope you have a great day, great evening, whatever it might be in your area, and I will talk to you all later. Thank you all so much for watching. See ya.